Welcome back, everybody. It's Specs, and today I will be going over my Week 9 match versus the Sarasota Scizors, aka Shaderu. Um, Before I get into team analysis and whatnot, make sure you can drop a like on the video, hit that sub, maybe turn on notifications if you really like the content. Without further ado, let's just look at his team, shall we? All right. So first up, we got Mew. Um, this thing is the most versatile thing you could possibly imagine. 100 in every single base stat means you can run a lot of different sets. That combined with it learning pretty much every single TM and TR in the game, and just a bunch of other moves in general, just means that it has just so many different sets you can run. And I mean, look how far I have to scroll down before I get to the usually useless move section, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so this thing is obviously very, very versatile. So yeah, very, very scary. You can run offensive, you can run defensive, stall breaker, calm mind, maybe like bulk up. Even there is no limit, and the only limit to you using Mew is your creativity. So what I thought he would most likely bring was some sort of calm mindset, because that is what he has. I've seen him use it a couple times before in the past, and I noticed it does pretty well against my team. So I just thought calm mind would probably be the best idea for him. Uh, yeah. So calm mind, I was expecting something like psychic plus aura sphere, and then soft boiled or something similar to this. Maybe swap soft boil for substitute or something with leftovers. I don't know. Basically, reason why I thought he would bring this. Basically, it's just really hard to counter against my team. With Mew's natural speed and impressive bulk, like I really can't break this thing very well. The only thing that can really do a lot of damage to Mew is my Chandelier and my Weavile. Chandelier, he can obviously try to outspeed. Run like some sort of. You can run like some sort of max HP, max speed set, and then would be able to outspeed Spec Chandelier. And you can also, as for Weavile, he might not be able to outspeed it, but with Mew's, as I said, Mew has a lot of bulk. You can run something like this, and then suddenly, my knockoffs aren't going to kill, and then maybe he can even, I don't know. I haven't looked into it too far, but like maybe he can start soft boiling up on my knockoffs after I knock off his item, and so he can get back up to a decent amount of health, and then kill me with Aura Sphere. So yeah, Mew, if I let that thing set up, he could really screw me over. So yeah, next up, Incineroar. So his team is like looking at all mons he has. So he has Mew, Incineroar, Bronzong, Toxtricity, Weezing, Silvally, Jellicent, Pangoro, Sandaconda, and Shiinotic. His team is very Trick Room based per se. He's got two decent Trick Room well, actually three. I think Mew gets Trick Room at least. And then there's Bronzong, and then he also has a Jellicent to set a Trick Room. So Trick Room teams are generally very weak to Ghost types. And so him picking Incineroar is actually a very smart pick. Incineroar is extremely bulky. Well, it doesn't look that bulky, but it is very bulky, especially if you put something like Assault Vest on it. And so I knew he had to bring Incineroar in order to beat my Chandelier, which otherwise would have just rolled over his entire team with absolutely no effort. So, Incineroar is amazing in terms of pivoting and just being a bulky motherfucker. So, Parting Shot is a great pivot move. It gets a lot of utility moves like Toxic. It gets knockoff, especially Stab knockoff. Flare Blitz as well can do some decent damage. It also gets like Wisp, and yeah. So like, it's got even Taunt as well if you want to try to run Taunt in general. And it's got a lot of good attacking moves as well, and that coupled with its base attack stat means that it could really put the hurt on people. That Intimidate Incineroar is like, I find it to be a really cool mon. I love using it in OU. You know, it's good at checking ghosts offensively. So yeah. Anyway, the Incineroar is very very decent, and you also can run heavy duty boots, which also limits hazard damage, which is also very nice. All right, now moving on, we got Bronzong. Okay. Yeah, Bronzong. He was either gonna bring Bronzong or Jellicent. We'll get to Jellicent later. So basically, I thought he was gonna bring Bronzong because Stealth Rock plus Trick Room, which is something Jellicent can't really do because it doesn't get access to Stealth Rock. So yeah, this is why I thought he was gonna bring Bronzong. As I said before, his team is pretty Trick Room based. I felt like he seemed a little just reliant on it per se. I wouldn't say reliant. I mean, just looking at his team. His team is very slow. Like the fastest thing on his team is Mew, and that's only base 100. So, his team's very slow in general. So I feel like, Trick Room on his end was somewhat necessary. So yeah, Trick Room setter, definitely thought he was gonna bring that. He's gonna bring a Rock setter as well, and yeah, Bronzong is just a good Trick Room setter. I mean, it can pretty much never die to a single hit, pretty much. And with Levitate and Heat Proof, it can get rid of one of its weaknesses, and yeah. I did not know Heat Proof actually halved burn damage. That's new. Anyway, so yeah, very bulky and whatnot, and he has semi-decent attacking stats, so you can still use stuff like Explosion, Earthquake, Psychic, Heavy Slam, Gyro Ball, all that type of stuff. Yeah, Toxicity. This thing is extremely scary. Base 114, like it looks very middling, like its stats aren't that great. Then you realize it gets, it gets Specs, Punk Rock, which boosts the power of Sound Boost, and it gets Boom Burst and Overdrive. And that is just absolutely terrifying. This is a very, very scary mod. Sludge Wave is also there, so you can deal with fairy types, and the last move is, I don't know, run whatever you want. You can run Volt Switch for pivoting, you can run... I've seen Snarl sets before. Don't think he's going to bring that against me. I think this is the moveset he's going to bring in general. With or without Specs. He could use Throat Spray instead of Specs. It's basically to the same effect, except the first move he uses will not... The moves he used before he uses a sound move will not be as strong. But, if you use Throat Spray, like you have Throat Spray, you use Boom Burst first turn, then you're basically a Specs Toxicity until you are forced to switch out. So, yeah. But, Toxicity is very scary for my team because it's really hard for me to switch out. I definitely don't have any sort of checks to Toxicity, let alone counters. I have a Seismitoad which can resist Overdrive and Sludge Wave, but Boom Burst is going to 2-hit KO me. And if I try to go into Chandelier, if I get hit by Overdrive, I'm also going to get 2-hit KO. So like, Toxicity. Actually, wait, Overdrive probably just kills. So yeah, Toxicity is just very, very, very threatening. Next up, Wheezing. Wheezing, I mean, it's not that great. The only real reason why I thought he was going to bring Wheezing was because of neutralizing gas. So being able to get rid of my abilities is very, very good because some of my mons are very reliant on their abilities. So, for example, I have a Conkeldurr, which, Guts, Flame Orb, it's kind of his thing. But, if you come in with the neutralizing gas Wheezing, what the hell is my Conk going to do? I mean, Facade's still boosted, yeah, but I'm not getting the Guts boost, so it's not going to be as strong. So, actually, Wheezing is probably not... Well, yeah, Wheezing is definitely one of the strongest counters to Conkeldurr, especially with Pain Split being able to get some HP back from Conkeldurr. And Wheezing Galar is also, by extension, extremely good against Conkeldurr, which I will have to face in a couple of weeks. Well, next week. Well, next week. Yeah. Anyway, so being a poison type also helps against my Clefable. This thing also gets access to Flamethrower. Not okay. Yeah, Flamethrower and Fire Blast, which are pretty decent moves, and it also gets access to Haze, which is pretty cool. So yeah. You guys run something like this. I don't know. Yeah, so Weezing, very, very, very solid check towards my Conkeldurr. Yeah. And last up we have Silvally. So, Silvally is very versatile. You can be any of the 18 types. But the type he has used the most often is Silvally Fairy. So, yeah. I was like 90% sure he's going to bring Silvally Fairy. Yeah. So, multi-attack, very strong. This thing's a very good pivot. And it also has Grass Pledge to smack my Seismitoad. I actually figured, I was just like, yeah, I didn't realize Silvally Fairy got Grass Pledge, and like an hour before I had to fight the match, I was just like, you know what, does Silvally actually have any ways to hit me? Because like I was anticipating him to bring Silvally Grass, like it was an option on the table as well, because it would help deal with Seismitoad obviously with a strong multi-attack. But then I realized Silvally Fairy gets Grass Pledge, and then I'm just like, oh shit, that's not good. Which means he could be any Silvally Fairy, any Silvally type he wants. But anyway. So, again, very, very good pivoting tool. It's decently bulky too, basically the same stats as Mew, except with a bit less of the versatility. And yeah, it learns a lot of good moves, both on the physical and special sides. So, yeah. You could even run like a Swords Dance set, like Swords Dance multi-attack, Flame Charge, and some other coverage move like Crunch to hit my Chandelier. So, yeah, Silvally is a very solid Pokemon. Okay, let's look at the last four. Alright, so Jelly was the only thing that I really, really expected him to bring. Jellicent, Water Absorb, it's got a lot of good traits, very bulky on the special side and the physical side too. Sorry. It's also a good Trick Room setter. The reason why I didn't think he was going to bring this was because he already had a Bronzong to set up Trick Room, and Bronzong also got Stealth Rock, so yeah. But Jellicent is also a very decent check to my Conkeldurr. With Strength Sap, it's able to pretty much sit on me, and with Cobra Berry, it was not going to take too much damage from Knockoff. And my Conkeldurr has pretty much run the exact same set every single week, so probably not. I'm probably not gonna have Thunder Punch on there or something like that. Although I was considering putting Thunder Punch on Conkeldurr this week, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I also get Will-O-Wisp to cripple some other stuff, like my Weavile if he somehow catches me on a switch. So yeah. Next up, Pangoro. So he's been using Pangoro often as a Trick Room sweeper. Well, not sweeper. Yeah, sweeper, wall breaker, same thing. That's not really. Yeah, so it gets scrappy, which means it's actually can hit ghost types with its fighting stab, which isn't too important, honestly, because the ghost type I have is weak to dark. Obviously, well, almost all ghost types are weak to dark. What I'm saying, but yeah. So I'm just saying it's an option if he wants to run a choice band set. So Pangoro is very, very strong and very, very scary under Trick Room, close combat, knockoff, and it actually has ways to deal with fairies in the form of Gunk Shot and Iron Head, and it also gets Bullet Punch for a form of priority. I didn't really anticipate him to bring this though, because, in one word, Conkeldurr. I can always pretty much come in on this thing and revenge kill with Mach Punch for absolutely free, and yeah. And, I mean, like, I guess with a choice band set, it's not going to be too difficult to, no, what am I saying? Oh, okay, I lost my train of thought. Give me a sec. Yeah, okay. So, if he's choice band, it's going to be super over-reliant on prediction, because I have a Clef, and my Clef, by the way, is max defense and max HP, so close combat and knockoff aren't going to be doing too much. So, he has to either choose Gunk Shot or close combat or whatever. If he runs Life Orb, not going to be super fun for him as well. Given that, you're just getting chipped every turn, and you getting chipped just lets me kill you with a Conkeldurr even easier. Like, I don't even have to get any chip on you at all in order to kill you. So, yeah. And Pangoro also, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, outside of Trick Room, he's going to be slower than my Clefable, and I just kill it immediately. Bullet Punch isn't going to do too much. So, yeah, that's Pangoro. Sandaconda, It's very decent on the physical side. On the special side, not so much though. I didn't really anticipate this. Um, he already has a stealth rock sitter in terms of Bronzong, which also can do Trick Room, which Sandaconda can't. And this thing is just a ground type. It gets walled by my Seismitoad pretty easily, and yeah, so I just didn't anticipate him to bring Sandaconda. Shiinotic, basically, it's like a Where's Wheezing. It kind of can beat Conkeldurr with Strain Sap, but it's not super reliable. It gets access to Spore, which is very nice, but middling bulk and okay special attack, it's not going to really get him very far. It being slower than my Seismitoad too just makes it like even easier for me to do stuff to it. So yeah, I don't know. Didn't really anticipate Shiinotic. Anyway, let's get into my team. Alright, so let's do it pretty quickly because I am taking a bit of time here. So I have a Chandelure. I made it specs and max attack, max special attack, max speed, Shadow Ball, Overheat, Flamethrower, Trick. Very standard. Just Chandelure just really screwed him over on most fronts. I should have made this Infiltrator because he doesn't really, if you look back at his team, he doesn't really have many. I mean, he has Incineroar, but is Incineroar really gonna use a fire move on me? Yeah, so like, I probably should have made an Infiltrator. I just kind of forgot about that though, so we're gonna move on. Anyway, Conk, very standard. Max HP, max attack. We got minus speed and 0 speed IVs for Trick Room because I plan on taking advantage of his Trick Room. Drain, Mock, Facade Knock, very standard. We actually are able to finally use Sigilyph this week. Sigilyph has great coverage, Magic Guard, Life Orb, Roost. It's really good at basically. It really like beats his entire team, honestly. Except for Incineroar, basically, it does really well. And with Incineroar, it's like 3 to 4 hit KO with Air Slash, depending on EVs and items. So yeah, Sigilyph was really solid this game. I didn't bring Defog this week either. Basically, I was just like, I don't think giving up a move slot on Conkeldurr or Sigilyph is worth it, considering my team isn't. It is kind of weak to rocks with Chandelure and Weavile, but I have 2 Magic Guard users and 2 resist to rocks as well. So I was thinking, meh. Anyway, so Seismitoad, we got. Ignore the EVs. I don't know what I was doing here. I was just investing a little bit into Spidef. So basically, we have Water Absorb, Stealth Rocker with Earth Power, Scald, and Toxic. Earth Power is just there to beat Toxicity, and Scald and Toxic are pretty much necessary on a Seismitoad. Weavile, running Choice Band. We can run Adamant this week due to his slower team. And I ran just enough speed to outspeed Mew. Max speed Mew, which I really doubt he was ever going to bring. But yeah, so Knockoff, Crash, Low Kick, Ice Shard. Pretty standard. And I just put a little bit of bulk into the Weavile as well. Clef. I finally am able to use something that's a little bit less basic. Although this is still extremely basic as well. Max HP, max defense, bold. We got Magic Guard, we got Leftovers, and we got Calm Mind Clef with Moonblast, Flamethrower, and Softwild. Basically, if he didn't bring Calm Mind Wheezing, if he didn't bring Haze Wheezing, this thing was going to run train versus his entire team. I don't think there was a way for him to beat it if he didn't have Haze Wheezing. Yeah, because if I get a couple Calm Minds up, Mew's not going to do anything to me. Toxicity's not doing anything to me. Bronzong is not that strong, so Iron Heads and Heavy Slams aren't going to be doing much damage. Incineroar, again, can't do that much damage to me. Like, there is nothing on his team that could really beat my Clef if I got a couple of Calm Minds up. So, and if he didn't have Haze. So, yeah. Without further ado, I need to go switch to the replay, and I will see you guys in a hot second. And we are back. So, looking at the lead matchup. Well, before I talk about the lead, I predicted his team pretty much right on the money. I expected CMU, some sort of Spidef, Incineroar. It turns out to be AV. We got some Toxicity set. It's Throat Spray. He's got Trick Room, Self Rock, Bronzong. He's got Pivot, Silvally, and he's got Haze Wheezing. So, yeah, I got his team pretty much right on the money. Yeah, So, looking at the matchup, I was thinking like, well, I think Sigilyph does relatively well as a lead here. I was kind of expecting him to lead Silvally, because that's what he does often. And so I was just like, you know what, I might as well lead Sigilyph, because I beat the Silvally 1v1 with Psychic. And, well, Psychic does really well against the team. So yeah, let's start. Yeah, so we got Sigilyph against the Bronzong here. So I just went for the Shadow Ball here, trying to get some damage. Doesn't work out. He goes into Incineroar, and I could tell from that it's like either very specially defensive or it's Assault Vest. So I guess Spit After up there doesn't matter because I switch out into Toad. Well, I mean, I guess that mattered if I landed Earth Power there. I think I just went for Rocks. No, I went for Toxic. Yeah, so I was like trying, because like if I get rid of Incineroar against this team, like my Chandelure and my Sigilyph both go extremely ham on this man's team. So I was really trying to Toxic the Incineroar because I am faster than it with Toad, and I was able to like, you know, Toxic it and put on a timer. He goes for Bronzong here, which is a good mid ground. So yeah, and then we just trade rocks this turn. I just go for Scald to see if I can get that burn. I happen to get it as he goes for Psychic, doing a good chunk to me. Here I switch out into Clef. I'm just gonna start trying to set up here. He goes for Trick Room. Yeah, so he goes to Wheezing. I'm trying to get my Calm Minds up, hoping it's not Haze Weezing, but unfortunately for me, it definitely is. Yeah, so that sucks. He's not neutralizing gas, by the way. I should mention that, but you know what? Yeah, I mean, Levitate is also relatively decent against my team, so I'm just trying to stall out this Trick Room here. He gets the poison on me, which doesn't matter because he's not neutralizing gas. So I just, you know, I get a little bit of chip there with my Clef. And then I just pivot right out into my Sigilyph here. Because, you know, Trick Room's gone. I'm faster. Goes for Sludge Wave, does a decent chunk to me. He goes for Silvally Fair. I think I go for the Air Slash, predicting his Cinnamon switch, but he doesn't. Goes to Silvally. He dies. So, yeah. Goes into Incineroar here. I go back into Sarasota. I don't really need this thing anymore. It's got rocks up. That's all I needed it to do. Here's a little bit of a choke on my end. I was deciding between Toxic and Earth Power. For some reason, I thought that Toxic was a bad idea, which it really wasn't. Because, you know, if I let the Bronzong in, I don't really care. If I let, well, Toxicity coming in would be pretty bad, but Wheezing coming in doesn't really matter all that much either. So I really should have went for Toxic here. You know, if I Toxic that Mew, since it is Calm Mind rather. So if I Toxic that Mew, that would have been extremely bad for him. But unfortunately for me, and oh, another thing, yeah, if I Toxic that Mew too, I would have died here, and I would have left that Mew Toxic, which means I get a free switching into Weavile Chandelure. So pretty bad choke on my part. I really should have went for Toxic here because I shouldn't have let that Mew come in for free. So yeah. Yeah, with Substitute, I try to go for Toxic, doesn't work out. Substitute, Calm Mind, is very scary, by the way. This is the reason why I should have made the Chandelure Infiltrator, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, he goes for Shadow Ball here. Basically, let me explain why I went into Chandelure here. So, I just couldn't let him set up. I couldn't let him set up a Calm Mind. I know it might seem stupid. I should have gone into Weavile, but, like, I also... Well, Chandelure was like a little... How do I say this? I don't know, actually. You know, going to Chandelure was not the greatest idea. I probably should have gone straight to Weavile. Well, I was also scouting for Aura Sphere as well. So, I guess that was another reason why I went to Chandelure. I just wanted to get in Chandelure. I was hoping it was like a bulky Calm Mind and wasn't outspeeding me, but he was. So, yeah. I take a Shadow Ball, I live, and this is where he kind of choked. So I brought it in here. I'm Specs. I'm not Infiltrator. Like, this Mew's gonna get his sub. Like, you know, I'm gonna break his sub with Shadow Ball, even if I could, which I couldn't, by the way, because he's faster. But he thinks I'm Infiltrator Scarf. And so based off that, he goes straight into Incineroar. Unfortunately for him, I'm Specs. That coupled with Rocks means I 2-hit KO the AV Incineroar with Shadow Ball. So, yeah. To that I say, he really overestimated me. So he thought I brought Infiltrator. I should have. I really should have. That was stupid on my part. I should have brought Infiltrator because Flash Fire was not very helpful in this match. But also thought it was Scarf. Scarf was okay in this game, but I didn't think I needed Scarf because Specs just gives me so much damn power, and most of his mons are very slow. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a... Me going Chandler was a bad idea. Him going into Incineroar was a worse idea. I think he should have just stayed and went for Shadow Ball. I mean, yes, I could have been Infiltrator Scarf. I don't know if I killed it. Did I kill it? I don't know if I killed the Mew at that point. But he actually doesn't have recovery, so that also makes sense. Like even if the Mew did live a Scarf Shadow Ball, like it was going to die very soon afterwards. So yeah. Anyway, he brings in Weezing. I just go for Shadow Ball again, just get as much chip as I can. The Weezing lives, indicating to me is like full Spadef. I got a Sigilyph here. You know, I just go for Shadow Ball just in case he tries to go with Bronzong. He goes Bronzong here. I go for Shadow Ball. It does quite a bit, and then he sets a Trick Room. So I was gonna say something. Yeah. So at this point, I was like, well, this Bronzong's gonna die to a burn damage at this point, and I was like, well, I don't. If I want to preserve differential, the best way to do that is to get my Conkeldurr in right now, because if I switch it in right now, Bronzong does probably not Psychic, considering he has one move slot left, and Psychic is resisted on Sigilyph. So I was just like, well, if I go into Conkeldurr here, I get my Flame Orb up. He's probably not going to do that much damage to me. He probably has a Steel-type move as his last. And then I will completely swipe the floor with him because he set up Trick Room to his own demise. And that's exactly what happened. I go into Conk here. He goes for Heavy Slam. It does nothing because he's burned. And dies to burn. And at this point, this is extremely over. This Mew will not live a knockoff. And that Toxicity will not live a Facade, resulting in the W on my end. So, yeah. A little bit of a hiccup there on both sides in the middle of the match there, but overall it was a game. It was a good game. I did pretty well. I got a 5-0, and what was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. I got a 5-0. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I was actually, yeah. So some afterthoughts. You know, Weezing really should have been neutralizing gas, I think, because, excuse me, Weezing really could have beat that Conkeldurr down really hard. I don't know. He could. I feel like that Weezing should have done a lot more in that game. And also another thing, I don't know why he went. Oh yeah, I just realized. I don't know why he went to Weezing after Chandelure. After Chandelure killed the Incineroar. That didn't make any sense. Because his Mew was faster than mine. I guess maybe he thought I was Scarf? Still? But I wasn't Scarf, I was Specs. I mean, I thought he would have been able to tell after the Incineroar damage, but I guess not. Yeah, so he should have definitely got Mew there after the Incineroar died, because, yeah, I guess. I don't know, that could have resulted in a pretty different situation there. I mean, because, you know, he's going to knock me out with Shadow Ball or Psychic, which was his other move, by the way. And then I guess then Weavile came in. I guess. Never mind. I mean, I understand that. Okay, never mind. But yeah. Oh, another thing. Setting up Trick Room actually screwed him over pretty hard. Also interesting, he was running near max speed Mew on a Trick Room team. But that kind of makes sense as well, because you're trying to use that Mew outside of Trick Room. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that was the game. Good games to Shaderu. I was very, very scared of his team, you know, like, I don't know. He could have pulled out a lot of stops against me because that Mew and that Silvally are both very unpredictable. Turns out that Silvally didn't really get to see much usage, but like still like it could have been pretty different. So yeah. Thanks y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.